Alright, what's going on today, YouTube? Welcome back to your favorite cyclist YouTube channel. This week, we're talking about how to install a brand new fork on your bike. But before we get into today's video, if you're new to my channel, make sure you head down below, hit that subscribe button for me. If you already are subscribed, make sure you hit that bell icon right next to that. That way you get notified every time I upload. That way you don't miss any of this awesome cycling content on this channel. So like I said, today we're installing a brand new fork, and behind me, got the trusty Poseidon Norton here. So let's first talk about what we're replacing here. So the fork on here is the SR Sun Tour XCM34 coil fork here with 130 millimeters of travel. Works pretty good. I would say for most people who have this bike, fork is gonna work pretty good. Now I'm kind of a bigger guy, so coil fork, unless you tune in and get a different coil spring for it to get it a little heavier, doesn't really work for me. I go all the way through the travel. As you can see, that's pretty much the limit of travel right there where that dirt and grease line is. So it just doesn't quite work for me. I need an air fork to be able to adjust how much sag it has and make it feel much better for someone like me. So we're doing a bit of a swap here. Doing a big swap. We're doing a bigger swap than I thought I was planning on doing, but we're making some changes here. So I recently found an insane deal on a RockShox domain fork. Now if you know the domain is a big fork, and I'll show you right here where the fork is. So we just got the RockShox domain here. So the domain, this is for a 27.5 inch wheel, has a boost spacing down here, so 15 by 110 added onto the axle. It is 170 millimeters of travel. That's a lot of travel for a hardtail if you didn't know. That's a lot. Most hardtails like around 140, maybe 150. It's 170. So we're gonna go pretty big on this. The good thing with this is we can always change the valve to go to a smaller travel on here, but that's besides the point. We're just installing this guy today because it looks just massive. Along with that, 38 millimeter stanchions on here, giant guys, tapered head tube. It's hard to beat this guy. It's a beefy fork. I mean, you can compare the differences there. It's beef. It's pure beef, and it's all blacked out. It's gonna look pretty sick. So we're installing this guy onto this bike. I'm gonna show you guys how to do it yourselves and install a brand new fork on your bike. It's been a long time since I've had a brand new fork to install, so it's gonna be fun. It's all gonna be good. So when you get your fork, you're gonna get it in a big old box. It's pretty much a long box. The fork's laying down like this. You get the fork, of course, in the box. In the case of this RockShox domain, you get a RockShox fender here. And then you get, most of the time you should get a star nut, which is actually what your top cap for your stem threads into and kind of preloads the bearings in the headset. So you're gonna need a star nut. You're gonna get that. So it comes with zip ties for the fender. And this one comes with the tokens as well, which we'll get into a different video. Along with that, I think there might be instructions in here, I don't know, and a sticker. So that's pretty much what you get in the box. Nothing crazy. I mean, you get the axle in this case. You get the axle that goes with the fork. So that's what you get in the box. The rest of what you need is going to be on your bike right now. So what we're going to need to do first, we're going to need to remove the fork that's currently on the bike. So that's a very simple thing to do. We're just going to unbolt everything attached to it. So take the wheel off, unbolt the caliper, take the caliper off, cut the zip ties, undo the bars, lift the bars off, and the fork should just drop right out. And then we can get on to moving over what needs to be moved over and get to installing the new fork on here. So let's move right over the bike. Let's start tearing stuff apart. Alright, so as we remove these bolts, the fork should slide out. Should, keyword, let's see. Because these are all that's really holding it together at the moment, so you can have a hand down here if you want. See how unlucky we get. That doesn't want to pop out. Alright, we're good. So then we should be able to pull our handlebars off and our spacers. Go. That guy, a compression fitting, and our fork should fall right out. Just like so. So there's our old fork there. Let's go ahead and sit down. Let's go ahead, we'll talk about what we need to move over, get set on our new fork, and we'll slam our new fork right on in here. Okay, so old fork, new fork. So there's one thing we need to remove from our old fork, and that's going to be this guy right there. That's our crown race. So we need to remove this crown race and transfer it onto our new fork. So in the case of this one has a little notch right here, and we're just going to kind of get a little flathead screwdriver in there and just very carefully and gently pry it up. And there you go, there's your new crown race. Well, not new, that's your old crown race. That's all we're going to need to move over to our new fork. So pretty simple to put on, it just slides right on there and presses down onto the base. And there you go, you got that moved over. We'll clean that up before we put on. But that's all you need to move over from your old fork. So old fork can go bye-bye. It can go and be in storage till you blow something else up. No. So set the old fork off to the side now. We are solely working on our new fork. I lied. We still have one thing we need to do with our old fork. I lied. There's one thing we need to do with this. So your old fork, we need to match up our steerer tube length to our new fork. So if you like the place your handlebars were at, you're going to want to match the length to our new fork. In my case, it matched pretty good. I like the feel of where the bars were on my old one. So we're going to measure from the base up to the top. And in this case, we are just about 21 centimeters. All right, so set that off to the side. Let's take a look at our new one. See what we are definitely longer than 21 centimeters. Let's see here. So we gotta go all the way to the base. Yeah, we are a little long, so I'm gonna grab my little screwdriver and it's gonna make a mark at 21 centimeters. There we go. All right, so we got a mark at 21 centimeters for this guy, so we're cutting off, what, how far is that? We're gonna cut off about 2 inches off of the end of this. And that'll get our bars about the same place they were at on our old one. So we're gonna go ahead and bring this over to our vise, and we're going to clamp it in the vise, and we're going to go ahead and make a very straight cut right where I marked. And that will be pretty much all we gotta do to prep this, and then it can go, well, then it's almost ready to go into the bike. All right, so we got the fork clamped in the vise. We have a nice level, and then right here we actually have our line marked up, lined up with the edge of the vise. So our vise is actually gonna be our saw guide, I guess you call it. You can buy actual saw guides that you can clamp onto there, but we're beyond that. You can do this much simpler. So got that. Got my handsaw here. There's a bunch of different ways you can do this. This is just the easiest way in my opinion, is to get a handsaw, clamp it in the vise, and we're just gonna start sawing all the way through. All right. Yeah, it's pretty straight. There we go. So there's our old piece there. It is nice and hot. There's right there. We're gonna go ahead and just pull our fork out. We're gonna dump out any of the metal. And then you can see our little edges. We can use a little cleanup there. So we're just gonna grab our itty bitty little file here. And we're just gonna clean up those little edges there. All right. Got that all set. Let's go ahead and back down next to the bike. We'll do the last step, and that's going to be installing the star nut in here. All right, so star nut, kind of an important guy. This you need to make sure it's into the right depth. That way your stem can grab onto it. It's not going to pull right out. And it's pretty important, I would say. So I know there's ways you can put this in there without the tool, but in my case, we have a star nut tool, which just threads right onto the top of the star nut, just like so. And then you pretty much hammer it in until it stops on this mark, pretty much until it stops going in at all. And that's how far it's going to go in. So you can see if I unscrew the star nut real quick, we're essentially going in until this thing stops at the top, to make sure that's nice and even all the way around. So we're going to screw this guy on. I like to do this on a nice padded surface. That way it's not going to beat up the fork. And then we get that kind of even up at the top, and we just start hammering it in. We try and keep it even as much as we can. There we go. Nice and even, and then we can just unscrew our star nut tool. And our star nut is nicely installed right in there, and we're set to reassemble this guy and get it back into being a bike. All right, so we got crown race on, got the fork cut to the right length, got the star nut installed. It's set to go back together now. Woo! All right, so we're gonna move our bars out of our way. So we're gonna shove this guy right back where it was. Put our compression nut down. Woo! Stay there, bars. Compression nut down. top cap on, spacers in, just like that, and then bars right up on there, and our top cap bolt right there. Stem bolt, throw that guy on, and we'll this guy a couple little tighten so it holds itself up at the top. Woo! Holy frick, that's a massive fork. Dang. Okay, I'm liking it. I like it, I like it. See if we can kind of center our stem up and our bars. Try right there for the moment. All right. Snug up our stem bolts. Sweet. Look at that guy. All right, we're just gonna get our brake caliper attached to our new fork and then throw our wheel back on. And then we gotta stare at it, I think, after that point. So let's get our brake on here. Should be pretty simple. So it's got to, we are going to a larger rotor. In my case, this is not the case of every Poseidon out there, of every Norton out there. In the case of this fork, the minimum rotor you can put on here, is a 200 millimeter. The Poseidon comes with a 180. So you definitely need to change your rotor size. All right. Damn, that looks massive. I like that. Okay. So let's just kind of hold this up. Will this actually work? Okay. We need some sort of spacer in there. So that's how you go ahead and install a brand new fork on your bike. It's actually a fairly simple process, as you can see. You really need a tape measure, regular Allen keys to work on your bike, a saw to cut the steer tube if you even need to do that, and then a hammer and preferably a star nut driver. And you can essentially put that back together and have a brand new fork on your bike. Now, now I'm going to stop some of you before you get into that. This is a lot of fork for this bike, and we'll get into that in a later video, as well as adjustments to this fork as well in a later video. But for me, this seems like it's going to be a lot of fun. So we're going to ride this as is. I'll let you know how I feel about the RockShox domain, as well as, you know, what else we need to do to it to make it actually feel really solid on this bike. It is a beefy fork, biggest one I've ever owned. In travel and size distinctions, by far the largest fork I've ever had. It's pretty crazy. The 34 was the largest. Before that, being a cross-country guy, I run 32s is what I've run. 32s is what I have. So this thing's huge. I'm excited to try it out. I'm excited to ride something that has just insane amounts of travel, insane amounts of stiffness. It's gonna be fun. So hopefully you guys are able to learn something from this video. If you were, give this video a big thumbs up. Appreciate the support. Any comments or questions, let me know down in the comment section below. Love talking to you guys. Love answering any questions you guys have. And I will see you in the next video. Thanks for watching today.